Yeah, it was a bit surprising. You know what I mean? It's a tall task coming from, you know what I mean, literally moving from Gervonta Davis to Anthony Joshua. Um, so man, this is gonna be a tough fight. Honestly, it's probably the hardest fight he could have took. You know what I mean? And I like Jake Paul and everything, but Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. It's a dangerous fighter. You know what I mean? You've seen exactly what he did to Ngannou. You know what I mean? So it could probably be a repeat of the same, but nonetheless, big respect for Jake Paul for taking the fight. It's going to be a big event, and it's going to be good, man. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
With the buzz around a potential Jake Paul vs Anthony Joshua showdown reaching new heights, boxing insiders are starting to speak up about just how massive and risky this fight really is. David Benavidez gave Jake credit for even stepping up to the plate, even though most people think AJ's size and raw power could turn this into a brutal night for him. Then Derek Chisora jumped in with his own wild take, adding even more chaos to the hype. He fired off, "I'm buzzing for this. Let's put all that Jake Paul can fight heavyweights talk to bed. If this actually goes down, someone might end up behind bars." Chisora's reaction instantly raised the intensity, giving the whole build-up a dangerous, unpredictable edge. You could hear that classic heavyweight energy in his voice, the kind that tells you he expects mayhem if the fight happens. The way he said it made it feel like this clash could blow past a normal main event and turn into something much bigger. Hearing a veteran speak with that kind of excitement gave the matchup a darker, more explosive vibe. It made fans wonder how wild this December fight could get, and whether the ring can even contain everything surrounding it. Chisora didn't stop there. He doubled down, making it crystal clear he wasn't speaking in metaphors. In his eyes, this matchup is so mismatched that the result could get genuinely dangerous. He said, "Because you're basically going to kill him. It's not fair. Someone should go to jail for this." Those words hit like an alarm bell, showing that he believes AJ's punching power is on a completely different planet from anything Jake has ever dealt with. His tone wasn't jokey or exaggerated, it sounded like a real warning. Coming from someone with Chisora's resume, it added a new wave of tension to the hype. Suddenly the danger seemed bigger than the excitement. Fans could feel the shift. This wasn't just another celebrity crossover stunt. This was a possible mismatch with real consequences. It left viewers wondering if Jake truly understands the power he's about to step in front of. Chisora went on to break down how Jake might try to approach the fight, but his tone made it obvious. He sees this matchup as thrilling, but brutally honest about the levels between them.
Right now, Jake Paul will be watching the last fight AJ had, and he's gonna jump on him. It's not about AJ dealing with the men in front of him, but whatever happens will be exciting. Nah, he hasn't got the power.
Chisora's comments painted a clear picture of a massive divide in both power and experience, the kind of gap that could decide the fight long before the final bell ever rings. He sounded almost convinced that once the punches start landing, Jake won't be able to keep up with AJ's physicality. His breakdown brought a heavy dose of realism into the conversation, reminding everyone that AJ isn't some novelty opponent. He's a full-sized, world-class heavyweight. The way Chisora explained it made fans rethink all the momentum Jake has built up so far. Instead of pure excitement, people started feeling tension, questioning how Jake could possibly withstand that kind of force. Chisora didn't sugarcoat anything when it came to his final prediction. He said it straight, without a second of hesitation. Jake Paul is leaving in an ambulance. That single line flipped the atmosphere from fun hype to something much more serious. The confidence in his voice suggested he sees the fight ending violently, not remotely competitive. It forced people to imagine what happens if AJ lands clean, and the image wasn't pretty. Chisora's blunt warning injected both fear and adrenaline into the storyline, feeding into the idea that this fight could turn into something unforgettable for reasons way beyond entertainment. It felt like a veteran giving a final warning before the storm hits. And just like that, the December matchup turned into a must-watch spectacle filled with danger, unpredictability, and massive suspense. Then Michael Bisping entered the conversation, reacting with pure shock. He made it seem like the matchup was almost unbelievable, even by today's boxing circus standards. His breakdown blended humor with harsh honesty, setting the tone for how bizarre and risky this fight really is.
I can't believe that this is actually happening, but it is, okay? Now, it's a win-win for Jake Paul, and it's a lose-lose for Anthony Joshua. However, given all of that, both men are going to make $92 million each. So, forget my opinion, who gives a damn when you can bank $92 million for having a little move around in a boxing ring? Fair play.
Bisping's reaction immediately shifted the vibe, making it clear that the stakes here aren't just physical, they're financial, reputational, and potentially historic. The way he framed it turned the fight into something far bigger than just two guys climbing into a ring. He pointed out the strange dynamic where no matter what happens, one fighter gets nothing but criticism while the other walks away with all the momentum. It forced fans to rethink what winning even means in a matchup like this. As he spoke, you could feel the tension building, especially as he highlighted how the pressure and spotlight fall unevenly on both men. Bisping dug deeper into why he believes the matchup only truly benefits one side. He broke down the stakes with experienced clarity, sounding like someone who has seen every angle of the fight business and isn't afraid to spell out the harsh truths.
Well, no, we'll start with Jake Paul first. The reason I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls, he was man enough, he was willing to test himself, he would prove everyone wrong, all his critics, like me. By the way, I'm not like out there on an island by myself, everyone says the same thing, and he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would, maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury is going to beat him, and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career.
His breakdown created a sharp contrast between where both fighters stand going into this. He essentially painted Jake as the daring challenger with nothing to lose, and AJ as the man carrying the heavy burden of expectations. Every point he made added more weight onto AJ's shoulders. A win gets shrugged off, but a loss would be disastrous. The way he laid it out made the whole situation feel uneasy, like the real danger is the pressure outside the ring rather than the punches inside it. Fans started questioning just how much of a gamble AJ is taking. After laying out all the angles, Bisping switched gears and gave his actual prediction, and he delivered it with full confidence. His tone sharpened, making it clear he believed there was only one realistic outcome when the bell rings.
The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down.
His confidence brought a heavier, almost intimidating energy to the discussion. As if the difference in skill and power was too obvious to overlook, he reminded viewers of AJ's destruction of one of the most feared punchers in combat sports. He painted AJ as someone built for devastation. Every comparison he made widened the gap between the two fighters, turning the matchup into something that sounded like a collision between two completely different worlds. But he wasn't done yet. Bisping moved into the technical side of things, making the matchup sound even more one-sided. His voice carried that veteran certainty, the kind that only comes from years of breaking down fighters and styles.
So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance, and not to mention the technical abilities. Let's just talk about that. Not to mention the technical abilities or experience. We're talking about an Olympic gold medalist, remember, from back in the day, who's then gone on to become a true British boxing icon, or a worldwide boxing icon, let's be honest, right? There's no way that he loses to Jake Paul.
This part of his analysis made the differences in size, skill, and experience feel impossible to ignore. He described AJ as a finely tuned athlete who has spent his entire life honing his craft, not just learning how to box, but living it day in and day out. The comparison highlighted the gap between someone born and raised in elite-level competition and someone who entered the sport much later. Every detail he mentioned stacked even more weight on AJ's side, making the idea of Jake pulling off an upset sound almost unimaginable. Fans listening could tell this wasn't just another challenge for Jake, it was a mountain he's never even seen before. Finally, Bisping turned to the raw physical differences, breaking them down in a way that made the size gap sound downright dangerous. His explanation felt less like a prediction and more like a warning for what might happen inside the ropes.